Wayne had always trusted Kay. They had been married for almost 10 years, built a life together, and made each other promises in moments both large and small. So when their neighbor, Mrs. Larkin, mentioned that she'd seen Kay's coworker, Sam, coming by during the day while Wayne was at work, he tried to brush it off. Kay worked long hours, he reminded himself, and maybe Sam was just a friend stopping by. But Mrs. Larkin's words sat heavy with him, gnawing away at his peace of mind. Despite himself, Wayne started to pay closer attention. He couldn't shake the image of another man in his home, sharing a connection with his wife that he hadn't felt in months. Desperation and a creeping suspicion took hold, leading him to do something he would never have imagined himself doing. He bought a small, inconspicuous camera and set it up in their bedroom. It felt wrong, invasive, but he told himself it was necessary if he wanted to confront Kay with proof of what she was doing. If their marriage was already crumbling, he reasoned, he needed a way to sever it cleanly, with evidence to support his case in a divorce. Days passed, and he found himself growing more tense, obsessing over every small detail. Finally, his heart pounding, he checked the footage. What he saw hit him like a gut punch. Kay and Sam were indeed involved, and they had shared moments Wayne hadn't even dared to imagine. He watched, fury rising as he saw her lost in a side of herself she hadn't shown him in years. Rage simmered as he replayed the images in his mind, feeling betrayed, humiliated, and small. But as he continued watching, anger gradually gave way to another feeling, curiosity. The more he watched, the more he saw a side of Kay he'd long forgotten. She seemed alive, electric, her laughter and passion reigniting in ways he hadn't witnessed in years. It dawned on him, slowly but undeniably, that this affair wasn't about replacing him. It was about rediscovering herself, filling an emptiness that perhaps he had unwittingly helped create. Wayne felt the walls of his resentment soften, replaced by a realization that surprised him. He still loved her, and maybe, just maybe, they both needed something new. One evening, Wayne found himself sitting across from Kay at the dinner table, rehearsing the conversation in his head. He had a choice. He could let anger dictate his words, or he could open the door to something unexpected. Finally, he took a deep breath and looked her in the eyes. "I know about Sam," he said quietly. Kay's face went pale, her fork clattering onto her plate. She started to stammer, her eyes wide, but Wayne held up a hand. "Kay, let me finish." He hesitated, then continued. "At first, I was furious. I felt betrayed and humiliated. But then, I started thinking about us, about what we used to be and what we are now. And I realized that maybe we've both been missing something." Kay sat, speechless, watching him. He reached for her hand across the table, feeling a surge of vulnerability he hadn't felt in years. "I don't want a divorce," he continued. "I want to try something different, something that maybe lets us both feel alive again. What if we tried being with other people, but together? Maybe we can find a way to bring back the spark we lost, not just with others, but with each other." Kay blinked, processing his words. She looked at him, a mixture of relief, confusion, and intrigue crossing her face. "You mean, swinging?" she whispered, a hint of disbelief in her tone. Wayne nodded, feeling his own heart race with nervous excitement. "If it means keeping you, keeping us, then yes. I want to explore this with you. But I want it to be something we both decide, something that strengthens us, not divides us." Over the next few weeks, they took hesitant steps into this new territory, exploring boundaries and desires they hadn't discussed in years. Their first encounter with another couple felt surreal, exhilarating, and awkward all at once. but Wayne and Kay navigated it together. For the first time in years, Wayne felt connected to Kay in ways that transcended the physical, forging a bond that was open, honest, and free from resentment. Through shared experiences, both thrilling and awkward, they found themselves talking, laughing, and reconnecting in unexpected ways. Wayne saw new sides of Kay, bold, playful, even mischievous, and realized that the woman he'd fallen in love with all those years ago was still there, just hidden beneath the layers of everyday life. The process wasn't without its challenges. They both wrestled with jealousy and uncertainty, but they had also made a pact to communicate openly, trusting each other in ways they hadn't before. Wayne began to see Kay not just as his wife, but as an individual, a person with her own needs and desires, just as he had his. They created boundaries, tested limits, and, through it all, discovered that their shared experiences opened doors within themselves that neither had known existed. In the end, their marriage emerged stronger, transformed by trust and vulnerability. They had taken a leap, navigated their fears, and rekindled a passion that had once seemed out of reach. Wayne knew their journey together was just beginning, one rooted not just in love, but in a new understanding of what it truly meant to be partners. As Wayne and Kay stepped through the front door, flushed and breathless from an intense night with friends, a shadowy figure emerged from the corner of their dimly lit living room. Wayne's heart dropped as he recognized Sam, standing rigid, eyes dark and empty. His face was twisted with pain, and there was an unsettling, hollow edge to his voice as he spoke. "Kay," he muttered, voice barely a whisper, yet cutting through the silence. "If I can't have you, no one can." Kay gasped, clutching Wayne's arm as Sam pulled a small pistol from his coat pocket, his hand trembling but his gaze chillingly steady. Everything seemed to slow, the world narrowing to the tension-filled room, the finality in Sam's eyes unmistakable. Wayne took a step forward, trying to reason with him, his own heart pounding with desperation and fear. But before he could speak, 3 shots rang out, the deafening sound shattering their world in an instant. By the time the police arrived, the house was still and silent, their once unpredictable and wild journey ending in a devastating, irreversible tragedy.